Excuse me. Welcome everybody to the November 2024 Witty Link SV partnership session every month where we see where the money went the previous month. Don says we have some great news. I'm excited to see this. And look, and I think the election in the US is behind us. We're now seeing money flow. I had a deal close yesterday, kind of out of nowhere. Um, yeah, we're just going to start seeing things move. So no matter who you voted for, whatever happened, it feels like the dams have kind of opened up. Although we'll hear about that next month, probably, right, Don? But let's hear what you got for us.
Sounds good, David. Let me share here and get going.
And we do have a special event happening tomorrow and every Saturday that I'll share with everybody too before we end.
Okay. Yes. A little slow on this morning. Well, welcome everyone. Our October recap. This was one of the most interesting months I can remember. We saw a total of 18.8 billion in fundings come in. Never have recorded close to that. You look back at the crazy 2021s, we saw some 13 and 15 billion months, but this was a new one. Largely driven by AI, but helped by clean tech and vehicles. Waymo, as a matter of fact, I heard somebody mention that earlier. So we'll get into the details in a moment, but you can see we've already vaunted ahead for total funding for the year at 62 billion. 53 billion was last year for the whole year. So October was just a shot in the arm as far as fundraising concerned. But it's interesting because it still remains overall a tough environment in which to raise funds. And that's true whether you're a VC or whether you're a company. There's two sides of the river. If you got the right network, you got the right company, market, customers, there's money. New entrepreneurs are having a really tough time. It is a desert out there for them. And VCs, interestingly enough, we don't often talk about that side of the equation. But for VCs, many of them, the emerging managers, the ones who were new to the field in 20 and 21, they raised a fund because money was everywhere. Zero interest rates made it much easier than it should have been. And now the chickens are coming home to roost because those emerging managers are having just as tough a time raising a second fund as the entrepreneurs, first-time entrepreneurs, are having raising their first round. PitchBook estimates that 40% of those emerging managers from the 2021 era will not raise a second fund and they'll exit. And already this year, we've seen almost half as many investors as we did previous years. So this is an economy that is very much in flux. We don't know what's going to be happening in the coming months. One bright note that both captures from the VC side, the good news, and this is a woman-driven event, Female Founders Fund. It's not a Valley Fund, but I mention it because it is, quite frankly, these days, a rare event. They were a 2021 vintage fund. They did their first fund. They're raising their second fund, and they have just returned to their limited partners the full amount of their investments from that first in, what is it, 3 years? A very short time. So we have talked before about how important it is to have more women in the venture capital world, to write more checks for women on the entrepreneurial side of things. But this was a notable event for them to return the fund that early. So, having said this, let's take a quick look at where the money went in terms of sectors. You can see AI took a lot of it, but that figure is a little bit, it obscures the fact that 6.6 billion of that went to one company, OpenAI. The rest of it was distributed among a variety of companies, in several of them getting mega deals, which we'll talk about in a moment. And on the other side, vehicles and transportation, cleantech, all took a unusually large share of funding for the month. So there were so many mega deals that I couldn't even squeeze in explanations on the companies this month. 16 of them for a total of $16 billion, just a little bit over. Over on the AI side of things, that funding was broken between call them foundation model companies, your Poolside, your OpenAI, and on the other side of things, the compute, light matter, and we'll get into that more when we talk about AI deals. Sierra Technologies, again, application of AI, customer service. Armis, application of AI, security. Even Up, application of AI, legal, and so on and so forth, just about all around. You do have the other side, you have Waymo, you have Zero Motorcycles. I'm sure they're using AI, but it isn't part of their pitch, if you will. And the other place we're seeing AI, and it's in both EvoImmune and Cytovale, at the bottom there. AI to drive more drug discovery, AI to drive more insights into cellular immunology. Just across the board, it has permeated. Well, I've never seen a figure this high, and this will probably be one of the few times we see a figure this high. This is driven by the fact that Waymo, which received $5.6 billion, has a CEO who's a woman. So all of a sudden we went from averaging, 3 to 7% to 31% of money that went out to a woman-led company this month. So that's a nice high, and we'll hope that we may not repeat it, but we hope to stay higher than we have. Now those companies, and some interesting ones this month, there were a total of 19 women-led companies. This is 7 of the most interesting. Right at the top of our list, we got to go for Takidra Maokana at Waymo. The later stage fundings, and this was a Series C, is what drives the amount of money that women-led companies receive. Out of the rest of these, there were, let's see, 2. The only other one that it falls into the later stage is a grant. And that's upper right there, Mainspring Energy, Shannon Miller. Any entrepreneurs in the audience, grants are a wonderful thing. They're non-dilutive. They take a lot of time and a lot of energy to get, but they can be a foundation piece in developing your startup. 87 million here, of course, came from some of the federal government funds for clean tech, clean energy. Over on the left, something we saw this month were more women led AI companies. I've plugged in 2 of them here. We'll see a few more when we get to AI. But Aperture Data for multimodal AI, and InFactory, more of an application development platform. And rounding out that mix, we have OneSkin, which caught my eye, a longevity company. For some reason, this month, longevity anti-aging, the senior sphere, if you will, received quite a few seed fundings. This was one of them that's driven by a woman that reduces skin's biological age, particular drugs, creams, etc. And our other two here, AI and HealthX and Pyramase, which fills a need that crosses all ages. The blood pressure monitoring for people both at home as well as in the hospital that doesn't have to be invasive, that can do its job quietly and accurately and wirelessly. So women-led companies this month just cross the entire spectrum. AI, clean tech, the robotics, driving, biotech. It was an unusually broad spectrum. AI companies, lots of money into AI, obviously. And this month for, quite frankly, I think we were up to about 5 months in a row now, we have seen an increasing number of compute and infrastructure companies. Now, these are pure AI. And what I mean by that is this is not a vertical. This is not legal or customer service or fintech. It is all focused around either the compute, the hardware, the architecture that's needed, or the development tools on the other side that are used. And it's an unusual spectrum. You go up to light matter and you have hardware improvements. You have at Data Pelago software improvements, Berkeley Compute, more GPUs. And at Photonics, again, like light matter, similar approach to saying, great, we got to go faster at all aspects of the hardware. How do we do that? And on the other side, then the application, or not application, really, development tool level. We continue to see multiple approaches to speeding up application development, to doing a better job of testing. That would be distributional. And of course, we continue to see this divergence between open source models on one side and your closed models on the other. Open source, as a matter of fact, the Open Source Foundation earlier this month came out with their official definition of what open source AI is. In other words, so what's open and available? Is it just the model? Is it the data? Is it the training? Yada, yada. So now multiple between that foundation and the open AIs, the other entities that do closed models are going to be arguing over that going forward. But
I
if
think
open source,
NIST has a whole new protocol I think they're coming out with. And we were talking about it, I think, during the last cybersecurity session or one of the AI sessions about just this global initiative for AI safety.
yep,
It's called like ACIS. I forgot. It's not as is, but it's like ACIS or something.
AIC, yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I'm
Right
not
with the
sure the acronym. We've got so
yeah,
many acronyms flying around now.
yeah, but it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, it is. OpenAI was leading that effort for a while. They've pretty much trashed their group that was focused on that, and the key people leading it have gone to other companies. Yeah, you notice I don't even mention OpenAI here. Uh, uh, OpenAI, while they certainly lead the pack in terms of spending, of advanced foundation models, of devoting, again, more research into moving forward to what they say will be AI equivalent to human intelligence. Pretty much has devolved down into just a drama. They are moving people, poaching people out of competing companies. Competing companies are poaching people out of them. If you are locked into their models, well, I can appreciate you're paying attention to them, but by and large, there's a lot more going on outside OpenAI in terms of developments that are important across the board for people. Okay, and on that note, and David, please let me know if there's any questions that come up. I'm not watching for them. So there were 176 companies this month. And I have to tell you, I could have given you 5 slides of interesting companies, great, just fascinating technology that's coming out, biotech, um, and robotics, clean tech. I went through and I chose these 8. I'll put some additional in the notes when I put those out. But if you want to keep on top of this, I just strongly recommend you follow us on LinkedIn, join, become a member, because the new technology that is literally on a daily basis being released is just amazing. And some of it, we talked about AI. Some of it is amazing what they're doing. This month was a big month for agentic AI. We saw companies announcing agents in customer service, in uh, development, software development. And those are 2 areas that have just been, I'm not going to say saturated, but they've got a lot of companies doing something in each of them. And past that, there were agents in accounting, agents in legal, agents in 2 or 3 other areas. So no lack of that whatsoever. But there were also a lot of companies coming out with new technology that is not in anywhere ways AI related. Hen nozzles is an interesting one. We have come through this fire season relatively unscathed, and I say that with quotes because I know we've had some devastating fires. David, you've had more down south, I think, than we have up here this year.
Yeah, south of me, because I'm in Slow now. But yeah, there was one yesterday that was pretty crazy.
These folks have developed a new nozzle, the first in 40 years for firefighters, which may seem mundane, but boy, if we're in the middle of a bad fire season, can make all the difference. And that next one, Able Police, this came out towards the beginning of the month, and it's using AI to interpret the um, video that is recorded by body cameras. Now, what's interesting here is that in the next 2 weeks after that came out, there were another 2 companies that got funded for the same area, the same idea. And this goes to emphasize what I tell entrepreneurs that I'm working with or advising. It is so often not the idea, it's the execution. It's what you can do with that idea, how well you can do it, get it out there, and be successful. Let's see, Michael, Ithaca. This was one of 5 or 6 different fundings in the crypto area this month. That has very much increased over the last quarter. It's been reappearing this year, but in the last couple of months, we've seen a lot more of it. And this month, even October was the most yet. Let's see, what else? I want to point out Corvus Robotics. It's a implementation combining AI, robotics, robots as a service. We have seen everything as a service coming out. Uh, Now it's robots as a service. These folks do a autonomous inventory management system. They use drones. Humans never touch the inventory. It is entirely done by the drones and driven by AI. And we're seeing that kind of an implementation go into multiple areas of the supply chain. And of course, it's the supply chain is ripe for that. It's very, very, it yields itself to being useful for that. Aviation for artificial intelligence. I won't tell you we've seen AI in every area, but I'd be surprised if we were to name an area and we couldn't find a startup doing something applying artificial intelligence to that area. Alchemy Health, they're not doing any tech specific stuff. They're just doing good work. This is a couple of founders who have set out, proved their mission in Africa and have come here. They're setting up safety net clinics, HIV drugs, and they managed to get a $31 million seed. That's not a 31, by the way, I left off the M. $31 million seed to take these clinics across the country. And I think that's, let's see, what did I mention? Oh, the one cleantech of note, interesting, converting feedstock into aviation fuel. That's the first we've seen on that one. And note, most of these are seed, which means they have yet to de-risk their technology. They're working on it, but that's what their goal is. Let's see. Before I get to this, I want to touch on two more things real quick. We talked about the VCs, we talked about startups' difficulty in getting funding. There was an unusual amount of money coming back into the Valley this month. And that's from two acquisitions, big acquisitions, and one IPO that turned out to be unusually successful. Now, the Zora was a $1.2 billion acquisition. Stripe bought Bridge. That is the largest acquisition, 1.1 billion in the crypto arena. And I'm sure that's one of the things that will be driving advances there. Stripe is firmly committed to returning now to crypto. But that brought 2.3 billion back to the investors that went into them. The IPO, same thing, money coming back to the investors. And that's starting to it is a little bit of liquidity back to investors who, when they receive it, will turn around and put a large part of it back into funding. And that's really what we're waiting for the whole funding arena to get out of this desert. It's a circular motion. Funders put money into startups, startups grow, succeed, exit, the money comes back to the investors. Well, and the investors then put money back into startups. That last portion of the equation hasn't been happening we're going on two years now. And when we see a consistent level of exits, more of these acquisitions, more IPOs, then we're going to see a sea change in how startups are able to get funding at the very beginning. Okay, I've talked your ear off there. Pulse of the Valley is the newsletter we put out. All of the research we talk about here, the fundings, the other information comes from what we put together with that. And it feeds back into our database of more than 22 years of business activity in the valley, and that's Sacramento to Santa Cruz. That's our focus. I want to remind everyone we now have this entrepreneur membership. It's open to anyone in a pre-seed, even bootstrap and seed company, just $7 a month. Let's see, I cannot give out the details now. Next month, I will be telling you about a new program we're adding for grants so that we can help even more entrepreneurs get past that initial pre-seed, seed, and get out there in the world stage. And on that, that's part of our fundraising platform. We're expanding it to include grants. And I guess we'll see you next month. And this will be our last of the year. Hopefully, I can repeat another good month, at least on the exits. I don't think we'll have the level of funding, but hopefully we'll see the money coming back now that the uncertainty of the election is past us and we're looking ahead.
Thank you,
On
Dr.
that, I'll give it back to you, David.
Thank you. We will go into breakout rooms in a minute. I did want to show one thing from that came up in one of our AI think tanks this week. Is just some data that just talked about people even have heard of different AI tools, right? So
Isn't that amazing?
clearly, in the US, right? I mean, the number one's ChatGPT. I think as
Yep.
we deal with people in our lives, a percentage of those use it, a large percentage don't. Even I feel like the co-pilot or people that use Microsoft in their companies don't necessarily get all the different notebook LMs and just the opuses and other tools. And there's a million out there. Look, Mistral, that's a French company in France, I think it was 3% perplex, right? So it's just such a wide open space now, I think,
It's amazing.
for innovation. We do have our new Saturday witty session. We had just the men's group on Saturdays called Odyssey, that's part of witty. That's now just an hour after this session that's open to everybody. So we do breakout rooms and connecting. We have Madison Feehan from Space Copy speaking, who does a lot of work with like NASA and different space business stuff. So everybody's welcome to that. That starts at 10 o'clock Pacific with breakout rooms and connecting. She's going to go on just after 11 for a talk, and then we'll have Odyssey after that. And then I will just mention too, we have our summit next week or in 2 weeks. Prompt 24, have some great speakers. Raymond, on IP, he's been here a few times. Greg's going to talk about a lot of the new NIST protocols and stuff in enterprise risk management. AI, Dr. Lisa Palmer. Kerry, who's the AI policy lead for the UK government. Anyway, it is virtual, so people come from anywhere. Any questions for Don on the good news? That was good news, Don, right?
It's overall good news, yeah.
With
The exits
Bitcoin,
in particular, David. Money coming back in is a good thing.
Bitcoin up to 76K now. It's, they say 100 by the end of the year. So I think that'll be some extra money going into several things. And by the way, that Detroit accepting crypto, that is through the PayPal payment processor. So I guess PayPal now I know takes Bitcoin. I'm not sure what other, maybe they take ETH too. I'm not 100% sure.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Okay. So you do breakout rooms. Mike, welcome. Would you like to share where you're coming in from, what you do?
Hey everybody, this was nice. I'm the new kid on the block. I just joined. It's super exciting to be here, and I just got the email, and I figured, yeah, let me pop in. So thank you for allowing me to introduce myself. I'm Mike Dela Cruz. I own Overdrive, which is a marketing management company, but I also co-own a AI powered client retention and lead capture platform. Very early stage. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm in Sunnyvale. I live in Sunnyvale.
Oh, nice. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hirschkesh or Hrishi?
Yeah. Hi,
Hrishi?
Rishikesh here. I'm Chief Marketing Officer for Sprouts AI, which is a recruitment automation using generative AI. They're able to get you good candidates in days instead of months. Background in semiconductor in the past, but exciting to be in a startup after working for a lot of big companies in the past. I'm in San Jose.
Welcome. No, that's not connected to that Sprout social media company that's in
No, that's
Chicago.
different. Yeah, this is a recruitment automation. And I'm sorry, I was just finishing a call with a customer, so I just joined, so I don't have previous context here.
No, you're good. So basically what we just went over, and I'm gonna